The Self-Sufficient Apartment, Urban Homesteading Skills for Sustainable City Living. Written and published by Ciro Irmici. Feel free to subscribe for more content. Now let's get into the book. Introduction. Welcome to The Self-Sufficient Apartment, Urban Homesteading Skills for Sustainable City Living. A guide for anyone looking to transform their urban apartment into a thriving, eco-friendly oasis. Whether you're a seasoned city dweller or someone who recently swapped the countryside for the concrete jungle, this book is here to show you that sustainable living isn't just for those with acres of land and a barn full of chickens. Nope, even if you're working with a studio apartment and a fire escape that doubles as your outdoor space, you can embrace the homesteading lifestyle. And let's be honest, nothing says modern homesteader quite like growing tomatoes next to your Wi-Fi router. Why urban self-sufficiency matters. Why should you care about becoming more self-sufficient in the city? Well, beyond the obvious bragging rights of growing your own basil, you'll definitely impress at your next dinner party, there are several serious reasons to consider. With rising urbanization, more people are living in smaller spaces with fewer resources. At the same time, environmental concerns, like climate change, resource depletion, and that thing where your electricity bill keeps giving you heart palpitations, are becoming harder to ignore. Urban self-sufficiency is about reducing your environmental footprint, gaining control over your resources, and proving to yourself and possibly your skeptical friends that you don't need a farm to live sustainably. But don't worry. I'm not suggesting you suddenly move to a cabin in the woods or start knitting your own clothes from scratch, though if that's your jam, more power to you. Instead, this book focuses on practical, achievable steps that you can take in your urban setting, from learning how to grow your own food indoors to conserving energy, water, and even crafting your own cleaning products. And hey, along the way you might just find a hobby or two that makes you feel like a superhero of sustainable living. The perks of sustainable city living. Beyond saving the planet, which, let's face it, is a pretty big deal, urban homesteading has a ton of personal perks. Imagine having fresh herbs at your fingertips whenever you need them, cutting your energy costs while keeping your apartment comfy, or even making your own zero-waste cleaning products that won't send you running out of the room coughing. By making your apartment more self-sufficient, you'll save money, reduce waste, and gain a sense of satisfaction that comes from knowing you're doing your part. Plus, you'll have great stories for when the topic of sustainability inevitably comes up at social gatherings, because who doesn't love talking about their compost bin at parties? This book will walk you through everything you need to know to turn your apartment into a mini homestead. We'll cover topics like indoor gardening, energy efficiency, water conservation, and waste reduction. Along the way, I'll share tips, tricks, and a few laugh-out-loud moments because let's face it, the journey to self-sufficiency shouldn't feel like a chore, and if you can laugh while setting up a compost bin in your closet, you're already winning. A quick note before we get started. Before we dive into the nitty-gritty, just know that urban homesteading is a journey, not a destination. You don't have to implement every idea in this book overnight. Start small, experiment, and see what works for you and your space. It's not about perfection, it's about progress. So, let's roll up our sleeves, dust off those plant pots, and get ready to embark on this adventure together, because if we're going to save the world, we might as well have a little fun along the way. Now, let's turn your apartment into the urban homestead of your dreams. Chapter 1. Creating an efficient urban garden in small spaces. Let's start with what many consider the crown jewel of urban homesteading, growing your own food. And no, you don't need a sprawling backyard or even a balcony to make this happen. With a little creativity, and trust me, we're going to get creative, you can transform your apartment into a lush green space where tomatoes, herbs, and even the occasional lemon tree thrive alongside your Wi-Fi router. Because honestly, what's more satisfying than eating a salad made from plants that grew 5 feet away from your couch? Spoiler, not much. 1.1 Planning your indoor garden. Maximizing light and space. First things first, location. When it comes to indoor gardening, your biggest consideration is sunlight. Plants need light like we need coffee, so finding the sunniest spot in your apartment is key. If you're blessed with a south-facing window, congratulations, you've hit the urban gardening jackpot. If not, don't despair. There are plenty of workarounds, from grow lights to strategically placed mirrors that bounce natural light around your space. Heck, you can even rotate your plants like they're on a mini solar-powered vacation. Now, before you start imagining your apartment turning into a jungle, remember this. Efficient use of space is everything. Look at your windowsills, shelves, and even that awkward little corner you've been pretending doesn't exist. All of these can be home to your future garden. Vertical gardening is a game changer here, allowing you to grow upwards instead of outwards, perfect for city living. Think hanging planters, wall-mounted shelves, or even a sturdy tension rod to dangle a few pots. You'll be amazed at what a bit of creativity and some Pinterest inspiration can do. 1.2 Container gardening. Choosing the right plants for small areas. The key to successful container gardening is picking the right plants for your space. And by right, I mean plants that will actually grow in a pot and won't take over your living room like an overly ambitious vine from a sci-fi movie. Herbs are a great place to start, and not just because they make your kitchen smell like a 5-star restaurant. Basil, mint, rosemary, and thyme are all easy to grow indoors, and they'll give you a fresh supply of seasonings that don't cost $3 a sprig at the store. For those looking to level up, consider growing compact vegetables like cherry tomatoes, lettuce, or even radishes. Yes, radishes. They're fast-growing and low-maintenance, so you can impress your friends with a homegrown salad in no time. Just make sure you're using the right containers. Anything with good drainage will work, from old yogurt cups to fancy ceramic planters. If it holds soil and lets water escape, you're in business. A quick pro tip: use self-watering pots if you're prone to forgetting to water your plants. No judgment here, we've all been there. These will help regulate moisture levels and keep your plants happy even if you occasionally get distracted by Netflix. 1.3 Vertical gardens and wall planters. Growing upwards, not outwards. If you're short on floor space, think vertically. Vertical gardens are perfect for apartments because they let you grow a variety of plants without sacrificing precious square footage. You can create a DIY vertical garden with just a few basic materials. Grab a wooden pallet or anything that can hold pots, attach it securely to a wall, and voila, you've got a stylish, space-saving garden. Another option is hanging planters. They're great for trailing plants like pothos or even strawberries, and they'll add a nice touch of greenery to your home decor. If you're feeling really adventurous, you can even rig up a hydroponic system which lets you grow plants without soil. It sounds high-tech, but with the right setup, it's surprisingly easy and efficient. Plus, it's a great conversation starter when people visit. All that is just my indoor hydroponic basil system. No big deal. 1.4 Indoor herb gardens. Fresh herbs year-round. Herbs are the unsung heroes of urban gardening. They're easy to grow, they don't take up much space, and they make you feel like a gourmet chef when you throw fresh basil into your pasta. Plus, there's something deeply satisfying about snipping a sprig of rosemary from your windowsill and tossing it into a recipe, knowing it grew just a few feet from your stove. Talk about reducing your food miles. To start your own indoor herb garden, all you need are some small pots, a sunny windowsill, and a few herb seeds or starter plants. Basil, parsley, cilantro, and chives are all great options. Keep them watered, give them plenty of light, and in return they'll provide you with fresh flavor year-round. Just be warned. Once you start growing your own herbs, you'll never want to go back to store-bought again. For a fun twist, try growing unusual herbs like lemongrass or Thai basil. Perfect for those nights when you feel like getting fancy in the kitchen, or at least pretending to. 1.5 Balancing aesthetics and productivity in apartment gardens. Let's be real. While urban homesteading is about sustainability, we all want our homes to look good too. The beauty of urban gardening is that it doesn't have to be an eyesore. In fact, your indoor garden can become a centerpiece of your apartment's decor. With the right planters and a little creativity, you can seamlessly blend productivity with aesthetics. Think about mixing decorative plants like succulents or orchids with your herbs and veggies. Not only will it create a visually appealing display, but it'll also make your space feel more alive, and maybe even distract from the fact that your apartment is, in fact, the size of a large closet. Pro tip: matching your plant pots to your home decor will give everything a cohesive, intentional look. Because who says a tomato plant can't be chic? Closing thoughts on urban gardening. Remember, you don't need a sprawling backyard to grow your own food. With a little ingenuity, a sunny windowsill, and a few well-chosen containers, you can create a thriving garden right inside your apartment. Whether you're growing herbs, veggies, or something a little more adventurous, hello, indoor lemon tree, urban gardening is about making the most of what you've got. And trust me, once you taste the fruits and veggies of your labor, you'll wonder why you didn't start sooner. So, ready to get your hands dirty? Let's dig into the rest of this homesteading adventure together. Chapter 2: Water Conservation in Urban Homes. Water, the essential ingredient for life and, let's be honest, for making a good cup of coffee. Living in the city, we tend to take water for granted. It comes out of the tap whenever we need it. But as urban dwellers, we're often unaware of just how much water we're using or wasting, and with climate change and rising populations putting pressure on water resources, it's time to rethink our habits. The good news? Even in an apartment, there are plenty of ways to conserve water and make a big impact. And no, it doesn't involve showering once a week. Although hey, if that's your thing, I won't judge. 2.1 Understanding water use in apartments. Before we jump into the solutions, let's take a quick look at where all the water is going. You might think you're being mindful, but the average person uses a whopping 80 to 100 gallons of water per day. Yeah, that's a lot of water. In an apartment, most of that usage comes from showers, dishwashing, laundry, and the occasional overzealous plant watering session, guilty as charged. Here's the thing. While it might seem like small potatoes in the grand scheme, the little changes we make in our apartments can add up. By tweaking your daily routines and making some smart upgrades, you can significantly cut down on your water use, and you won't even have to sacrifice your love of long hot showers. We'll get to that. So, let's dive into some water-saving hacks for the urban homesteader. 2.2 Installing low-flow fixtures to reduce water waste. Let's start with an easy win, low-flow fixtures. These bad boys are designed to reduce the amount of water coming through your faucets, shower heads, and toilets without making you feel like you're showering under a dribble. And trust me, if I can still wash shampoo out of my hair with a low-flow shower head, anyone can. Swapping out your old fixtures for water-efficient ones can cut your water usage by up to 50%, and you won't even notice the difference. You can find low-flow faucets and aerators at most hardware stores, and they're a breeze to install. Plus, they're affordable, meaning you can make a big impact without having to explain to your landlord why you ripped out the plumbing. Another game changer? Dual-flush toilets. These let you choose how much water to use with each flush. Less for liquid waste, more for solid. Because honestly, does it really need to be a full flush every time? I'll let you be the judge. 2.3 DIY gray water systems for apartment dwellers. Alright, now we're getting into the real homesteading stuff. Gray water. Gray water is the slightly used water that comes from your sinks, showers, and laundry, not from toilets. That's black water, and that's a whole other story. While you probably don't want to drink gray water, it's perfectly fine for other uses, like watering plants or flushing toilets. In a traditional home, gray water systems are a bit more elaborate. But in an apartment, we're going to keep things simple with a DIY gray water system. Picture this. Every time you wash your hands, instead of letting that water go down the drain, you collect it and use it to water your plants. You can do the same with water from rinsing veggies or leftover water from boiling pasta. Just make sure it cools down first, unless you want to make soup out of your plants. One easy hack. Keep a bucket or container in your shower to collect some of that excess water while you're waiting for it to heat up. You'll be surprised how much you can gather, and your plants will thank you. Just be mindful of what's in your water. Stick to plant-friendly soaps and shampoos if you're going to reuse it. 2.4 Rainwater harvesting techniques in urban settings. You might be thinking, but I live in an apartment. How am I supposed to collect rainwater? Good question, and I'm glad you asked. While you may not have a sprawling backyard to install a giant rain barrel, there are still ways to make the most of Mother Nature's free watering system. If you have a balcony, fire escape, or even just a window that gets a good dose of rain, you can set up a mini rainwater collection system. All you need is a container, like a small barrel or bucket, a funnel, and a little ingenuity. Even a hanging gutter or piece of plastic can help channel rain into your container. Once collected, you can use this water for non-drinking purposes, like watering plants or cleaning around the house. Just make sure you're following any local regulations, and that your rainwater setup isn't obstructing walkways or creating any hazards. We want to save water, not cause your neighbors to slip on a puddle. 2.5 Smart watering techniques for urban gardens. If you're growing your own herbs and veggies, congratulations, you're officially in the Urban Homesteader Club. But even the most well-intentioned gardeners can end up wasting water without realizing it. Fear not. Smart watering techniques can keep your plants happy without turning your apartment into a swamp. The golden rule of urban gardening is to water efficiently. Instead of spraying water all over the place like it's a slip and slide, try watering at the base of your plants to make sure the roots get what they need. Watering early in the morning or late in the evening helps minimize evaporation, meaning more water gets to your plants instead of evaporating into the atmosphere, where, let's be real, it's not doing your tomatoes any good. Consider investing in self-watering planters or setting up a drip irrigation system. Yes, even in an apartment. These systems deliver water directly to your plants in small, controlled amounts, which is much more efficient than giving them a big splash once a day. Plus, it's like having a tiny butler for your plants, making sure they're taken care of while you're off doing other important things, like binge-watching your favorite show. Closing thoughts on water conservation. Water might seem like an unlimited resource in the city, but every drop counts. By making a few small changes, like installing low-flow fixtures, collecting rainwater, or reusing gray water, you can drastically reduce your water usage without sacrificing your modern comforts. And let's be honest, There's something oddly satisfying about knowing that your basil plant is thriving on rainwater you collected yourself. So, whether you're going all in on a DIY gray water system or just committing to shorter showers, yes, we've all been guilty of those 20-minute thinking showers. Every little bit helps. You've got this, water-saving warrior. Now let's dive into the next step of making your apartment a self-sufficient powerhouse. Chapter 3: Energy Efficiency in the City. Energy efficiency. It might not sound as thrilling as, say, starting your own rooftop garden or raising chickens in your living room, which, by the way, we'll cover later, but making your apartment more energy efficient is one of the easiest and most impactful steps you can take towards self-sufficiency. And bonus, your wallet will thank you too. Whether you're trying to cut down on those jaw-dropping utility bills or simply want to minimize your environmental footprint, this chapter is all about turning your apartment into an energy-saving machine, without turning you into a shivering hermit in the winter. 3.1 Conducting an energy audit in your apartment. Before we jump into the nitty-gritty of saving energy, it's time to do a little detective work and figure out where you're currently losing it. Think of it as your own personal energy CSI, but with less dramatic music and more light bulbs. Conducting a basic energy audit doesn't require any fancy equipment, just a bit of awareness and common sense. Start by taking a walk through your apartment and paying close attention to your windows, doors, and appliances. Do you feel drafts around your windows? Does your thermostat seem to be working overtime just to keep the place warm? Is that ancient refrigerator humming away like it's auditioning for a part in a sci-fi movie? If you answered yes to any of the above, then congratulations, you've found some key suspects in your energy-wasting lineup. You can also take a peek at your electricity usage on your utility bill. If your consumption seems a little high for a small apartment, or if your bill makes you feel personally attacked every month, it's time to take action. Don't worry though, by the end of this chapter, you'll have plenty of tricks up your sleeve to slash those numbers down. 3.2 Choosing energy-efficient appliances and lighting. One of the quickest ways to improve energy efficiency is by upgrading your appliances and lighting to more energy-efficient models. Now, I know what you're thinking, but my fridge works just fine. And while that may be true, older appliances can be huge energy hogs, guzzling electricity like your uncle guzzles soda at family gatherings. If you have the option, investing in Energy Star-rated appliances is a smart move. These appliances are designed to use less electricity and water while performing just as well, if not better, than their outdated counterparts. That means lower bills and a smaller carbon footprint, two things we can all get behind. But let's not forget about lighting. You've likely heard this before, but it bears repeating. LED bulbs are a game changer. Not only do they use up to 80% less energy than traditional incandescent bulbs, but they also last 25 times longer. That means fewer trips to the store for replacement bulbs and more time basking in the glow of your energy-efficient victory. Pro tip: use smart lighting systems that let you control your lights via an app. Not only is this super convenient, no more getting out of bed to turn off the living room light, but it also ensures that you're not accidentally leaving lights on when you don't need them. 3.3 DIY Solar Power Solutions for Apartment Living. Alright, this is where things start to get really exciting. Yes, even if you live in an apartment, solar power is a viable option for you. Sure, you're not going to install a full solar panel array on the roof of your building, unless you're feeling particularly bold, but there are plenty of smaller-scale solar solutions that can help you harness the power of the sun without breaking the bank or needing to get your landlord's permission. One great option is solar-powered chargers. These nifty devices let you charge your phone, tablet, or other gadgets using sunlight, cutting down on your electricity usage while giving you some serious eco-friendly cred. Plus, they're portable so you can take them on the go for a boost of clean energy wherever you are. For those with a bit more space, like a balcony or a window that gets plenty of sunlight, consider investing in solar panels for personal use. Some models are designed specifically for apartment living and can be set up on a balcony or placed on the ground by a sunny window. These small solar panels can be used to power lights, charge batteries, or even run small appliances. Sure, you're not going to power your entire apartment with one of these, but every bit helps, and it's a great step toward energy independence. 3.4 Reducing heating and cooling costs with simple upgrades. Heating and cooling, two of the biggest culprits when it comes to high energy bills. In the summer we're cranking the AC and in the winter we're cranking the heat, all in an attempt to stay comfortable. But what if I told you that you could keep your apartment cozy year-round without sending your energy bill into a tailspin? Cue the dramatic gasp. The trick is insulation. No, I'm not talking about ripping open your walls and stuffing them with pink fiberglass, though if you own your apartment and feel like going all in, by all means. I'm talking about small DIY insulation hacks that can make a huge difference. Drafty windows? Install thermal curtains or window insulation film to keep the cold or heat out. Got gaps around your doors? A simple door draft stopper can work wonders. You'd be amazed at how much heat and money you're losing through those tiny cracks. For those sweltering summer months, consider using fans and reflective window coverings to keep your space cool without blasting the AC all day. A ceiling fan can make a room feel up to 10 degrees cooler while using a fraction of the energy that an air conditioner would. And when it comes to air conditioning, smart thermostats are your new best friend. These little devices learn your schedule and adjust the temperature automatically so you're not cooling or heating an empty apartment. 3.5 Energy Conservation Habits for Urban Homesteaders. At the end of the day, one of the best ways to reduce your energy consumption is by developing mindful habits. Think of it as living in harmony with your apartment. Start by being more conscious of how and when you use energy. Do you really need to leave your computer plugged in 24/7? Is the TV watching you more than you're watching it? Making a few small changes to your daily routine can result in significant savings over time. Here are some simple energy-saving habits to adopt. Unplug devices when they're not in use. Even when turned off, electronics still draw power if they're plugged in. It's called phantom energy for a reason. Turn off lights when you leave a room. It seems obvious, but we're all guilty of leaving lights on when we don't need them. No judgment, it happens. Layer up in the winter instead of cranking the heat. Trust me, a cozy blanket and a hot cup of tea are better for the environment than blasting the heater all night. Air dry your laundry instead of using the dryer. It's gentler on your clothes and your electric bill. By making energy conservation a part of your everyday life, you'll not only save money but also reduce your environmental impact. A win-win for both you and the planet. Closing thoughts on energy efficiency. Energy efficiency doesn't have to mean sacrificing comfort or convenience. With the right appliances, a few smart upgrades, and some good habits, you can drastically reduce your apartment's energy usage while still enjoying all the comforts of modern life. Whether you're making the switch to LED bulbs, setting up a DIY solar charger, or simply remembering to unplug your electronics, every small step brings you closer to the self-sufficient, sustainable lifestyle you're aiming for. So go ahead, flip that switch and light up your life, efficiently of course. The future of urban homesteading just got a little brighter, and a lot more energy efficient. Chapter 4. Waste Reduction and Recycling in Urban Apartments. Let's face it, living in the city often means dealing with a lot of waste. From the endless packaging that comes with takeout orders to the junk mail that mysteriously appears no matter how many times you unsubscribe, urban life can feel like a never-ending cycle of consumption and disposal. But what if I told you that it's possible to dramatically cut down on the amount of waste you produce, and even have a little fun in the process? Reducing waste in an urban apartment might sound tricky, but with the right strategies, you can turn your trash into treasure, or at least into something a lot less trashy. 4.1 Understanding Waste Streams in City Living. Before we dive into reducing waste, let's get a clear picture of what we're working with. In urban environments, waste comes in many forms. Food scraps, packaging, plastics, and those inevitable receipts that somehow multiply in your pockets. The average person generates about 4.4 pounds of waste per day, and a lot of that ends up in landfills where it sits, decomposing at a snail's pace. But here's the good news, a lot of what you're throwing out can be reduced, reused, or recycled. It's all about taking a closer look at your waste streams, fancy talk for where all your garbage is coming from, and figuring out how to redirect them. And no, you don't have to turn your apartment into a zero-waste utopia overnight, but every small step counts. 4.2 Establishing a Zero-Waste Lifestyle, a step-by-step guide. Let's talk about zero-waste living, that dreamy lifestyle where people manage to fit a year's worth of trash into a single mason jar. While that might sound like a distant goal, especially if you've just unwrapped the 12 plastic bags that came with your latest online order, it's not as impossible as it seems. The trick is to start small and focus on one area at a time. Baby steps, my friend. Here's a quick roadmap to get you started on your zero-waste journey. 1. Refuse what you don't need. This is the first step to cutting down on waste. Say no to things like plastic straws, extra packaging, and those free promotional pens you never use. It's easier than you think. 2. Reduce what you do need. Take stock of what you're buying and consuming. Do you really need 3 different brands of almond milk in your fridge? Simplify where you can and focus on buying only what you truly need. 3. Reuse what you can. Invest in reusable items like shopping bags, water bottles, and containers. Not only are they better for the environment, but they also make you feel like a zero-waste superhero every time you pull them out in public. 4. Recycle properly. We'll dive deeper into recycling in a minute, But the key takeaway here is to learn your local recycling rules and follow them. Not everything that looks recyclable actually is. Looking at you, pizza boxes. 5. Compost your food scraps. More on this in a bit, but let's just say that composting in a city apartment is more doable and less gross than you might think. The goal isn't perfection. The goal is progress. Even reducing your waste by 20 to 30% is a huge win, and as you get more comfortable with the process, you'll find yourself naturally cutting down more and more. 4.3 Composting in small spaces, vermiculture and indoor composting bins. Let's tackle one of the most misunderstood aspects of urban homesteading, composting. For many people, the idea of keeping food scraps in their apartment sounds like a recipe for a smelly disaster. But fear not, composting even in a small space can be easy, odor-free and, dare I say, fun. The simplest way to compost indoors is with a composting bin. You can either buy one specifically designed for apartment living or get crafty with a DIY setup. A well-made composting bin will keep everything contained, and if you manage it properly, it won't smell or attract pests. Your food scraps, like vegetable peelings, coffee grounds and eggshells, will break down into rich compost that you can use for your indoor plants or balcony garden. But if you want to take it to the next level, let's talk about vermiculture, composting with worms. Yes, worms. These little guys, specifically red wigglers, are like tiny, efficient garbage disposal units. They munch through your food scraps and produce high-quality compost in the process. Plus, there's something oddly satisfying about knowing that your banana peel is being turned into garden gold by a crew of hard-working worms in your closet. And trust me, it's less creepy than it sounds. 4.4 Upcycling and repurposing everyday items. You've probably heard the phrase reduce, reuse, recycle, but let's give some extra love to reuse. One of the best ways to cut down on waste is to upcycle or repurpose items you already have. Not only does it save resources, but it can also add a creative flair to your apartment decor. Why throw something out when you can give it a new life? Here are a few fun upcycling ideas for the urban homesteader. Glass jars. These little heroes can be used for everything from storing dry goods to organizing your craft supplies. Paint the lids, add a label, and suddenly you've got Pinterest-worthy storage solutions. Old clothes, don't toss that ripped t-shirt. Turn it into cleaning rags, reusable grocery bags, or even funky DIY decor. Hello, fabric wall art. Wine bottles. Turn empty wine bottles into stylish vases, candle holders, or even planters for your herbs. And hey, drinking the wine first is part of the fun. Upcycling is about seeing potential in what would otherwise be trash. Once you start thinking creatively, you'll be amazed at how many things you can repurpose, and how much waste you can divert from the landfill. 4.5 Navigating urban recycling programs and resources. Recycling seems simple enough, right? You toss your plastic, glass, and paper into the blue bin, and boom, you've saved the planet. But not so fast. Urban recycling programs can be a bit of a minefield, with different rules and restrictions depending on where you live. Some cities accept certain materials while others don't. And let's not forget the confusion over whether that greasy pizza box belongs in the recycling or the trash. Spoiler, it's the trash. To make the most of your local recycling program, the first step is to learn the rules. Check with your city or building management to find out what can and can't be recycled. Some common mistakes include trying to recycle items that aren't accepted, like plastic bags which can jam up machines, or mixing recyclables with non-recyclables, like leaving food residue on containers. Another great resource to take advantage of is recycling drop-off centers. Many cities have special facilities where you can drop off hard-to-recycle items like electronics, batteries, and hazardous materials. Don't let your old phone end up in a landfill. Take it to a proper recycling center where it can be handled responsibly. And here's a bonus tip: buy recycled products. It's great to recycle, but it's even better to close the loop by purchasing items made from recycled materials. Whether it's recycled paper, eco-friendly furniture, or even clothing made from reclaimed fabrics, every purchase helps support the recycling industry and reduce demand for new resources. Closing thoughts on waste reduction. Waste reduction is a cornerstone of urban homesteading, and the beauty of it is that you don't need a lot of space or fancy tools to make a big difference. From composting your food scraps to upcycling everyday items, there are endless ways to cut down on what you throw away and give new life to old things. And let's be real, reducing waste feels pretty awesome. It's like a little victory every time you skip the plastic bag or repurpose a jar. Plus, it's one of the easiest ways to make your apartment more self-sufficient and sustainable, all while cutting down on clutter and saving money. Win-win-win. So, ready to embrace the zero-waste life, or at least a low-waste one? Let's keep this homesteading journey rolling. There's plenty more to explore. Chapter 5. Urban foraging, sourcing sustainable food in the city. When you think of foraging, you probably imagine a woodland scene where someone in a flannel shirt is gathering wild berries and mushrooms in a wicker basket. Well, I've got good news. Foraging isn't just for the forest-dwelling crowd. Even in the heart of the city, urban foraging is a real and exciting way to source fresh, local food, and it doesn't require moving to a cabin in the woods. Plus, foraging has a certain secret agent vibe, like you're out there uncovering hidden treasures in the middle of your concrete jungle. Who wouldn't want to channel their inner food scavenger? 5.1 Foraging Basics. What you can legally harvest in urban areas. Before you grab your basket and head out to the nearest park, let's start with the basics. What can you legally harvest in urban areas? First things first, foraging laws vary depending on where you live, so it's important to check local regulations. In many places you can forage on public land, like parks, but there are often rules about what and how much you can take. And just to be clear, foraging doesn't mean grabbing someone's prized tomatoes from their garden, no matter how tempting those ripe beauties might look. Common urban foraging finds include wild herbs, fruits, nuts, and edible flowers. Plants like dandelions, yes, those weeds are edible. Plantain, wild garlic, and elderflowers are often found in parks, sidewalks, and even abandoned lots. Many cities also have fruit trees like apple, mulberry, and fig growing on public land or along streets. The key is to forage respectfully, take only what you need and leave plenty for others, and for the wildlife that depends on these plants too. A helpful tip: make sure to properly identify what you're foraging. Not everything that looks like food is edible or safe, and you definitely don't want to end up with a mouthful of something toxic. Use a good plant identification app or guidebook, and when in doubt, leave it out. Your adventurous spirit is great, but let's keep it safe. 5.2 Identifying edible plants and herbs in the city. You might be surprised at how many edible plants are hiding in plain sight around your city. While some plants are obvious, think fruit trees, others are more discreet but just as delicious. Learning to identify edible urban plants is like joining a secret club where the membership perk is free food, except this club is open to everyone with a little curiosity and knowledge. Let's start with a few easy-to-identify plants that are common in urban areas. Dandelions, those yellow-flowered weeds, are actually edible from root to flower. The greens are slightly bitter, great for salads or sautéing, and the flowers can be used to make dandelion tea or even dandelion wine if you're feeling fancy. Plantain, not the banana-like kind, but the broad-leaved weed, this plant grows in cracks in the sidewalk and lawns. The leaves are edible and are often used as a natural remedy for skin irritations as well. Wild garlic. You'll smell this one before you see it. Wild garlic has long green leaves that resemble grass but gives off a distinct garlic scent. You can use it in cooking just like regular garlic or as a flavorful addition to salads. Mulberries. If you see a tree with dark purple or red berries, you might be in luck. Mulberries are sweet, juicy, and often found growing in urban environments. Just watch out for the stains, they can be messy but totally worth it. As you get more comfortable with urban foraging, you'll start recognizing more and more plants that can be used in the kitchen. Remember to avoid foraging in areas that are heavily polluted or near busy roads, as the plants there may have absorbed contaminants. Parks, community gardens, and quieter green spaces are usually safer bets for clean, healthy foraging. 5.3 Rooftop farms and urban community gardens. How to get involved. Foraging is great, but what if you could take things to the next level and actually grow food in your community? Enter rooftop farms and urban community gardens. Two urban homesteading hotspots where you can get your hands dirty, learn new skills, and harvest fresh produce without leaving the city. Rooftop farms are popping up in cities all over the world. These farms use otherwise unused rooftop space to grow vegetables, herbs, and fruits while offering locals a chance to connect with the earth, and maybe escape the concrete jungle for a little while. Some rooftop farms are commercial operations that sell produce to local restaurants or farmers markets, but many offer volunteer opportunities where you can help out in exchange for fresh food or gardening experience. Community gardens are another fantastic way to grow your own food in the city. Many neighborhoods have shared garden spaces where residents can rent a small plot to plant whatever they like. It's a great way to grow your own fruits, vegetables, and herbs if you don't have space in your apartment. Plus, community gardens are often full of like-minded people who are happy to share tips, seeds, and sometimes even surplus produce. Getting involved is usually as simple as reaching out to a local rooftop farm or community garden and asking about volunteer opportunities or available plots. It's a great way to not only source fresh food but also become part of a supportive urban homesteading community. 5.4 Preserving your forage finds. Pickling, drying, and canning. Once you've gathered your bounty of wild plants, fruits, or community garden harvests, the next challenge is figuring out how to preserve all that goodness. After all, you might not be able to eat an entire mulberry tree's worth of berries in one go, though I encourage you to try. Here are a few easy and effective ways to make your forage finds last longer. Pickling. One of the simplest ways to preserve wild greens, herbs, or veggies is to pickle them. Pickling involves soaking your produce in a vinegar-based brine, which not only extends its shelf life but also adds a tangy flavor that's perfect for salads, sandwiches, or as a side dish. You can pickle everything from wild garlic to dandelion greens, and the best part is it's hard to mess up. Vinegar is pretty forgiving. Drying. Drying is an ancient method of preserving food, and it works just as well today. You can dry herbs like mint or wild garlic by hanging them upside down in a well-ventilated area or using a dehydrator. Dried herbs can be stored for months and used in cooking, teas, or homemade spice blends. Canning. If you've foraged a large quantity of fruit or berries, canning is a great way to preserve them. Whether you're making jams, jellies, or sauces, canning allows you to store your food safely for long periods. It does require some equipment, like mason jars and a pot for boiling, but once you get the hang of it, it's a fun and rewarding way to store your harvest. Don't forget to label your jars and containers. There's nothing worse than opening a jar a few months later and thinking, what on earth did I put in here? Spoiler, it's probably mulberries. 5.5 The ethical considerations of urban foraging. Foraging is a wonderful way to connect with nature and reduce your reliance on store-bought food, but it's important to approach it with an ethical mindset. Here are a few key principles to keep in mind. 1. Sustainability. Only take what you need and never overharvest from a single plant or area. Foraging should be sustainable, meaning that you leave enough for the plant to continue growing and for other people and animals to enjoy. 2. Respect for nature. Be mindful of the environment as you forage. Don't trample plants, disturb wildlife, or damage ecosystems. It's all about treading lightly and leaving the area as beautiful as you found it. 3. Legal and social etiquette. Always follow local laws and respect private property. If you're foraging in a community garden or shared space, be sure to ask permission before harvesting anything, and be a good neighbor by leaving something for others. By following these simple guidelines, you can ensure that your foraging adventures are both sustainable and respectful, leaving the environment in good shape for future generations of urban foragers. Closing thoughts on urban foraging. Foraging in the city might seem unconventional, but it's a fun and practical way to source sustainable food without having to leave your urban environment. Whether you're gathering wild herbs in your local park, volunteering at a rooftop farm, or preserving your finds with homemade pickles, urban foraging connects you with the natural world in a way that's both empowering and rewarding. And hey, who wouldn't want to be the person at the next dinner party who casually drops, "Oh, these herbs? I foraged them myself in the city." You'll impress your friends, nourish your body, and make a positive impact on the environment, all while having a great time doing it. So, grab your basket or your reusable tote bag, and let's go forage. Chapter 6. Sustainable Food Storage and Preservation Techniques. Congratulations! You've successfully grown your own food, foraged in the urban wilderness, or sourced fresh produce from your local community garden. But now comes the tricky part. What do you do with all of that food? Unless you're planning to eat everything in one sitting, which honestly sounds like a fun challenge, you're going to need some effective storage and preservation techniques to make sure nothing goes to waste. This chapter is all about how to keep your food fresh, delicious, and ready to enjoy long after harvest day. And no, it doesn't involve a magical fridge that keeps things fresh forever, although we can dream, right? 6.1 Extending Shelf Life. Storing food efficiently in small kitchens. Let's face it, most urban apartments don't exactly come with walk-in pantries and giant freezers. Instead, we're working with small refrigerators, limited counter space, and maybe a cupboard or two that doubles as storage for your reusable grocery bags. But don't worry, with a little creativity and some clever hacks, you can maximize your food storage space and extend the shelf life of your groceries. The key to storing food efficiently in small spaces is to focus on organization. It might not sound glamorous, but trust me, a well-organized kitchen is the difference between finding that last lemon when you need it and discovering it 3 weeks later, shriveled and sad in the back of the fridge. Here are a few tips to get your kitchen storage on point. Use clear containers. Storing leftovers or dry goods in clear containers lets you see exactly what you have at a glance. No more guessing what's inside that mysterious Tupperware at the back of the fridge. Label everything. Even if you think you'll remember when you open that jar of tomato sauce, trust me, future you will appreciate the label. Date everything to avoid surprise science experiments. Vacuum-sealed bags. These can be a game-changer for extending the life of fresh produce, meats and even dry goods. By removing the air you reduce the chance of spoilage and freezer burn, all while saving space. Keep produce separate. Some fruits and veggies don't play well together in close quarters. For example, apples and bananas emit a gas called ethylene that can cause other fruits and vegetables to ripen and spoil faster. Store ethylene-producing fruits separately to make your fresh produce last longer. 6.2 Preserving harvests. Canning, fermenting, and dehydrating. Now that your kitchen is organized, let's talk about one of the oldest and most satisfying ways to make your food last: preservation. Whether you're canning tomatoes, fermenting cabbage into sauerkraut, or drying your foraged herbs, these techniques are like a homesteader's superpower for making the most of every harvest. Canning, locking in freshness for months or years. Canning might sound like something your grandma did in her farmhouse kitchen, but it's just as relevant today for the modern urban homesteader. The process involves sealing food in jars and heating them to a temperature that destroys bacteria and enzymes, ensuring that your food stays safe and tasty for months, or even years. For beginners, water bath canning is a great place to start. It's perfect for high-acid foods like tomatoes, pickles, and fruit preserves. All you need is a few mason jars, a large pot, and some basic supplies. If you're feeling a bit more adventurous, pressure canning allows you to safely preserve low-acid foods like vegetables, meats, and soups. Just imagine cracking open a jar of homemade canned tomatoes in the dead of winter and tasting the flavors of summer. It's like a little time capsule in a jar. Fermenting, turning food into tangy, probiotic-rich delights. If you're a fan of tangy, fermented foods like kimchi, sauerkraut, or kombucha, then fermentation is your new best friend. Not only does fermenting extend the shelf life of your food, but it also creates gut-friendly probiotics that are great for your digestion. Fermentation is simpler than it sounds. It's all about creating the right environment for beneficial bacteria to thrive and transform your food. To ferment vegetables like cabbage or carrots, all you need is salt, water, and time. Pack your veggies into a jar, add some salt water, and let nature work its magic. After a few days or weeks, depending on the recipe, you'll have delicious, tangy fermented goodness that can last for months in the fridge. And hey, there's something deeply satisfying about knowing that the sourdough bread you're baking or the jar of sauerkraut in your fridge is bubbling away thanks to the power of fermentation. Dehydrating. Preserve the goodness in dried form. When you're short on fridge and freezer space, dehydrating is a fantastic option for preserving fruits, vegetables, and even herbs. Dehydrated foods take up very little room and can be stored for a long time without spoiling. You don't need a fancy dehydrator to get started. Your oven can work just fine for most tasks. Simply slice your fruits or veggies thinly, arrange them on a baking sheet, and bake at a low temperature, around 140 degrees Fahrenheit or 60 degrees Celsius, until they're fully dried. You'll end up with delicious dried snacks like apple chips, sun-dried tomatoes, or crispy kale that you can store in airtight containers for months. For herbs, air drying is often the best method. Bundle your herbs together, hang them upside down in a dry, well-ventilated spot, and wait for them to dry out. Once dried, crush them up and store them in jars for easy use in cooking. 6.3 Reducing food waste through proper storage. We've all been there, buying fresh produce with the best of intentions, only to find it wilted, moldy, or otherwise unusable at the back of the fridge. But with a little knowledge about proper storage techniques, you can drastically reduce food waste in your apartment and make the most of every item you buy or harvest. Store leafy greens with a damp cloth. Leafy greens like spinach, lettuce, and kale have a tendency to wilt quickly. Wrap them in a damp cloth or paper towel and store them in an airtight container in the fridge to keep them fresh longer. Freeze ripe fruit. When you notice that your bananas are getting too spotty or your berries are about to turn, freeze them. Frozen fruits are perfect for smoothies, baking, or snacking. Just peel and slice before freezing for easy use. Don't crowd the fridge. A jam-packed fridge may seem efficient, but overcrowding actually restricts airflow, making it harder for your fridge to keep food cool. Leave a little breathing room for your groceries. They'll last longer and your fridge will thank you. Use a first-in, first-out system. Organize your fridge and pantry so that older items are placed at the front and newer items are stored in the back. This way you'll use up your older food first and reduce the chances of anything going bad. 6.4 Building a sustainable, city-friendly pantry. Every urban homesteader needs a well-stocked pantry to rely on when fresh produce is scarce or when life gets busy, because let's face it, sometimes we just don't have time for a midweek grocery run. A sustainable pantry is one that's filled with versatile, long-lasting ingredients that can be used in a variety of meals, while also minimizing waste. Here's how to stock a city-friendly pantry. Grains. Dried grains like rice, quinoa, and oats are pantry staples that last forever and can be used in countless dishes. Store them in airtight containers to keep them fresh. Legumes. Dried beans, lentils, and chickpeas are nutrient powerhouses that are cheap, versatile, and last a long time. Canned versions are great too, just remember to recycle the cans. Canned goods. Canned tomatoes, beans, and fish are lifesavers for quick, healthy meals. Look for brands that use minimal packaging and BPA-free cans. Dried fruits and nuts. These make for easy, shelf-stable snacks and can also be used in baking, cooking, or as toppings for oatmeal and yogurt. Herbs and spices. Keep a variety of dried herbs and spices on hand to add flavor to any meal. Bonus points if you've dried them yourself from your homegrown or foraged plants. By focusing on sustainable, long-lasting ingredients, you can reduce the need for frequent grocery trips and ensure that you always have the basics on hand to make a delicious, homemade meal. 6.5 Small space solutions for root cellaring in urban apartments. Root cellaring may conjure images of underground storage rooms packed with potatoes and carrots, but even in a small apartment, you can replicate the benefits of a root cellar with some creative thinking. The idea behind root cellaring is to store fruits and vegetables in a cool, dark environment where they can last for months without refrigeration. For apartment dwellers, try these small space root cellaring hacks. Use a cool, dark closet. If you have a closet or cupboard that stays relatively cool, it can act as a mini root cellar for storing hardy vegetables like onions, garlic, and potatoes. Just make sure it's well ventilated to prevent spoilage. Use baskets or boxes. Store your root vegetables in wicker baskets or wooden crates lined with newspaper. These containers allow for airflow while keeping the veggies from touching each other, which reduces the risk of rot. Insulated containers on balconies. If you have outdoor space, an insulated container or storage box can work as a makeshift root cellar during cooler months. Just be sure to protect it from direct sunlight and check it regularly to avoid freezing or overheating. Closing thoughts on food storage and preservation. Becoming more self-sufficient in an urban environment means making the most of the food you grow, forage, or purchase. And the key to that is smart storage and preservation. Whether you're canning tomatoes, fermenting sauerkraut, or finding creative ways to store potatoes in your tiny apartment, these techniques will ensure that nothing goes to waste and that you can enjoy the fruits of your labor for months to come. So go ahead, label those jars, pickle those cucumbers, and marvel at your kitchen wizardry. You're officially a food preservation pro, and your pantry and taste buds will thank you for it. Chapter 7. DIY Cleaning and Personal Care Products. Let's be real, store-bought cleaning products and personal care items can be a bit of a mystery. They come in colorful bottles with names like Mountain Breeze or Ocean Fresh, and we just trust that whatever's inside is working its magic. But have you ever turned one of those bottles around and tried to read the ingredients list? It's like deciphering a secret code, except the only thing you can pronounce is water. So, what's really in these products, and do we need them? Spoiler, we don't. In this chapter, we'll dive into the world of DIY cleaning and personal care, where you can swap out those chemical-laden bottles for simple homemade solutions that are just as effective, and way easier on your wallet and the environment. Plus, you'll feel like an eco-friendly wizard whipping up your own magic potions. 7.1 The hidden toxins in conventional cleaning supplies. Most of us grew up with the idea that a clean home smells like bleach, lemon-scented everything, or that weird fresh linen air freshener that smells nothing like actual fresh linen. But what we weren't told is that many conventional cleaning products are loaded with toxic chemicals that can be harmful to both our health and the environment. Let's break down some of the usual suspects. Phthalates, found in many scented products linked to hormonal disruptions and allergic reactions. So, yeah, that Ocean Breeze air freshener may not be so refreshing after all. Triclosan, common in antibacterial products, this chemical can contribute to antibiotic resistance and disrupt the endocrine system. Ammonia and bleach. These give you that classic clean smell but can irritate the lungs and skin, especially if used in poorly ventilated spaces, like your small apartment bathroom. The good news? You don't need any of these chemicals to keep your apartment sparkling clean. With just a few natural ingredients, you can make DIY cleaning products that are just as effective, safer for your health, and way kinder to the environment. Plus, your home will still smell great, just without the artificial lemon and toxic fumes. 7.2 Making your own all-natural cleaners with simple ingredients. Ready to revolutionize your cleaning routine? It turns out that with a handful of common ingredients, things you probably already have in your kitchen, you can create natural, effective cleaners that are a fraction of the cost of store-bought ones. And the best part? No secret code ingredients. You'll know exactly what's in your products because you made them yourself. Here are some superstar ingredients you'll want to keep on hand. White vinegar. This is your go-to for disinfecting and cutting through grease. It's also great for getting rid of odors. If you're worried about your place smelling like salad dressing, don't be. The vinegar smell fades quickly. The baking soda. This acts as a gentle abrasive, perfect for scrubbing surfaces without scratching them. It's also a natural deodorizer, which makes it great for freshening up carpets, garbage cans, and even your refrigerator. A lemon juice. Not only does lemon juice have antibacterial properties, but it also leaves behind a fresh, clean scent. It's perfect for tackling tough stains and cutting through grease. Castile soap. This all-natural vegetable-based soap can be used for everything from washing dishes to cleaning floors. It's gentle, biodegradable, and incredibly versatile. Essential oils. These aren't just for making your home smell amazing, they also have natural antibacterial and antifungal properties. Try lavender, tea tree, or eucalyptus oil for extra cleaning power. Now let's get to the fun part, making your own cleaning products. Here are a few easy recipes to get you started. All-purpose cleaner. Ingredients: 1 cup white vinegar, 1 cup water, 10 to 15 drops essential oil, optional. Directions: mix the vinegar and water in a spray bottle and add the essential oil if you like. This cleaner is perfect for wiping down countertops, cleaning windows, or freshening up your bathroom. It's safe on most surfaces, but avoid using it on marble or granite, as vinegar can damage those surfaces. DIY scrub for sinks and tubs. Ingredients: half a cup baking soda, a few drops of water or Castile soap, a lemon juice, optional. Directions: mix the baking soda with just enough water or Castile soap to make a thick paste. If you want to add a fresh scent and a little extra scrubbing power, squeeze in some lemon juice. Apply the paste to your sink or tub, scrub with a sponge and rinse away the grime. It works wonders on stubborn soap scum and buildup. Glass and mirror cleaner. Ingredients: 1 cup water, 1 cup white vinegar, 1 tablespoon cornstarch. Directions: combine the ingredients in a spray bottle and shake well before each use. The cornstarch helps prevent streaking. Spray on glass or mirrors and wipe with a microfiber cloth for a streak-free shine. Now you've got the basics down, and with these simple DIY cleaners, you'll feel like a master of your own eco-friendly cleaning domain. Bonus: you won't need a hazmat suit to clean your bathroom anymore. 7.3 DIY personal care products. From toothpaste to deodorant. It's not just cleaning products that could use a makeover. Many of our personal care items are also full of questionable ingredients. From synthetic fragrances to preservatives and sulfates, a lot of these products aren't doing our bodies any favors. Fortunately, making your own personal care products is easier than you think, and you don't have to be a chemistry whiz to get started. Plus, it's kind of fun knowing you can replace your store-bought toothpaste with something you made in your own kitchen. Talk about self-sufficiency. Here are a few simple, effective DIY personal care products to try. Homemade toothpaste. Ingredients: 2 tablespoons coconut oil, 2 tablespoons baking soda, 10 drops peppermint essential oil, or another flavor you prefer. Directions: mix the coconut oil and baking soda until smooth, then add the peppermint oil for flavor. Store in a small jar and use just like regular toothpaste. It might take a little getting used to, no foam or artificial minty flavor, but your teeth will feel squeaky clean. Natural deodorant. Ingredients: a 1/4 cup coconut oil, a 1/4 cup baking soda, a 1/4 cup arrowroot powder or cornstarch, 10 drops tea tree or lavender essential oil. Directions: mix the dry ingredients first, then add the coconut oil and essential oil until everything is combined. Store in a jar or small tin and apply with your fingers. Unlike conventional deodorants, this won't clog your pores with aluminum, and the essential oils will keep you smelling fresh all day. DIY lip balm. Ingredients: 1 tablespoon beeswax pellets, or candelilla wax for a vegan option, 2 tablespoons coconut oil, 1 teaspoon shea butter or cocoa butter, 5 to 10 drops essential oil, like peppermint or vanilla. Directions: melt the beeswax, coconut oil and shea butter in a double boiler or microwave. Once melted, stir in your essential oil and pour into small tins or lip balm tubes. Let it cool and voila, your very own natural lip balm. 7.4 Reducing packaging waste with homemade solutions. One of the biggest perks of making your own cleaning and personal care products is the reduction in packaging waste. Think about it, every time you buy a new bottle of shampoo or a container of surface cleaner, you're also buying the packaging that comes with it, packaging that often ends up in the trash or recycling bin. When you switch to homemade solutions, you can reuse the same containers over and over, cutting down on the amount of plastic and packaging waste you generate. Plus, many of the ingredients for DIY products come in bulk or recyclable packaging, which further reduces your environmental footprint. Invest in a few reusable glass jars or bottles for storing your homemade products, and you'll feel a sense of pride every time you refill them, knowing that you're keeping more plastic out of landfills. 7.5 Sustainable and affordable alternatives to store-bought items. If you're not quite ready to make the leap into DIY everything, and let's be real, not all of us have time to handcraft our own toothpaste every week, there are plenty of sustainable and affordable alternatives to conventional store-bought products. The key is to look for brands that prioritize eco-friendly ingredients, minimal packaging, and ethical production practices. Here are a few tips for finding greener options when you do need to buy. A look for biodegradable packaging. Some brands use compostable or recyclable materials to package their products, reducing waste. Choose cruelty-free and vegan. Opt for products that are not tested on animals and contain no animal-derived ingredients. A buy in bulk. Purchasing larger sizes of products like soap or shampoo reduces packaging waste. Many zero-waste stores also offer refill options where you can bring your own container. It supports small, local businesses. There are plenty of artisans and small companies that create natural cleaning and personal care products. Supporting them not only helps the environment but also supports your local economy. Closing thoughts on DIY cleaning and personal care products. Making your own cleaning and personal care products is a simple yet powerful way to reduce your environmental impact, avoid harmful chemicals, and save money, all while feeling like a DIY superstar. Whether you're whipping up an all-purpose cleaner with vinegar and essential oils or crafting your own natural deodorant, these small changes add up to a more sustainable, healthier lifestyle. Plus, let's be honest, there's something undeniably cool about being able to say, "Oh, this toothpaste? I made it myself." So grab those ingredients, start experimenting, and watch your urban homesteading game level up. Chapter 8. Urban Beekeeping and Micro-Livestock. Picture this. You're sipping your morning coffee on your tiny balcony, surrounded by a few potted plants, when you hear a soft buzz. No, it's not the traffic from the street below, it's your very own bees happily buzzing around doing their thing. If that sounds far-fetched in a city apartment, think again. Urban beekeeping and keeping micro-livestock are not only possible, but they're also becoming increasingly popular among urban homesteaders looking to take their sustainability game to the next level. Sure, you might not have acres of farmland to raise chickens or bees, but you don't need them. With a little creativity and maybe a tolerant landlord, you can create a mini farm right in your city home. So, let's dive into the buzzing world of bees, quails, and other micro-livestock that can thrive in even the smallest urban spaces. 8.1 Introduction to Beekeeping in Small Spaces. Beekeeping in the city might seem like an unusual hobby, but it's actually one of the most rewarding ways to contribute to sustainability. Not only do bees produce delicious honey, but they also play a vital role in pollinating plants, meaning your balcony garden and your neighbor's rooftop veggies will thrive, thanks to your industrious little friends. You might be wondering, but isn't beekeeping complicated and dangerous? Surprisingly, it's not as intimidating as it seems. In fact, urban beekeeping is more common than you think, with rooftop apiaries popping up in cities worldwide. The trick is to find the right space, the right equipment, and, of course, the right bees. Start small with a single hive, or two if you're feeling ambitious, and make sure you have a safe, secure spot for it. If you have a balcony, rooftop access, or even a small backyard, you're in business. Bees don't need a lot of room to thrive, and they can cover a wide radius when foraging, meaning your hive will be fine even in a dense urban environment. Don't worry if your beekeeping knowledge is currently at bee-movie level. There are plenty of resources, local beekeeping groups, and online tutorials to help you get started. And once you're set up, you'll be amazed at how low-maintenance beekeeping can actually be. A few minutes of care each week is often all it takes to keep your hive buzzing happily. 8.2 Raising Micro-Livestock. Chickens, rabbits, and quail. If beekeeping sounds a bit too wild for your taste, let's talk about another sustainable option for urban homesteaders. Micro-livestock. You don't need a sprawling farm to raise animals. Smaller livestock like chickens, rabbits, and quail are all well suited to life in the city. Chickens. Yes, even chickens can thrive in urban environments. In fact, backyard chickens have become so popular that many cities now have ordinances in place to regulate them. Chickens are great for a few reasons. They're relatively low maintenance, they provide fresh eggs, and they can help reduce your food waste by eating scraps and leftovers. Before you dive into the world of urban chicken keeping, make sure you check your local regulations. Some cities allow chickens but limit the number of birds you can keep, and most cities don't allow roosters for the sake of your neighbor's sanity. Once you've cleared the legal hurdles, you'll need a small coop, something that fits your available space but still provides enough room for your chickens to scratch around. Chickens are social animals, so it's best to keep at least 2 or 3. They'll provide fresh eggs, which is a nice bonus, but they'll also give you a fun, lively presence in your home, and some excellent fertilizer for your garden. Rabbits. Rabbits are another excellent option for urban homesteaders. They're small, quiet, and easy to care for, making them ideal for apartment living. And no, I'm not talking about keeping a pet bunny, I'm talking about raising rabbits for meat, if that's your thing, or simply as a source of rich compost for your garden. Rabbits are prolific breeders, and their waste, called rabbit manure, is known as one of the best fertilizers around. Unlike chicken manure, rabbit manure can be used directly in your garden without needing to be composted first. Plus, rabbits can be fed with leftover veggies and scraps from your kitchen, making them a great way to reduce waste while providing for your urban homestead. Well, if space is at a premium, or if you're looking for a quieter alternative to chickens, consider raising quail. These tiny birds are perfect for small urban spaces because they don't require much room, and they produce delicious eggs that are smaller but just as nutritious as chicken eggs. Quail can be kept in a small coop or cage, and they're relatively low maintenance. They don't make much noise, so your neighbors are unlikely to notice, and they're excellent for apartment dwellers who want the benefits of fresh eggs without the hassle of keeping larger livestock. 8.3 Regulations and Best Practices for Livestock in Urban Settings. Before you start building a chicken coop on your rooftop or setting up a beehive on your balcony, it's important to do your homework on local regulations. Many cities have specific rules about keeping livestock, and while urban homesteading is growing in popularity, not every landlord or city council is on board with the idea of turning your apartment into a mini farm, though I'm sure your bees would vote yes. Here are a few things to consider. Check local ordinances. Every city has different rules about keeping livestock, especially when it comes to animals like chickens or bees. Some cities allow them with restrictions, while others may require permits. Make sure you're following the law to avoid fines or issues with neighbors. Consider your neighbors. Speaking of neighbors, it's a good idea to check in with them before you start keeping livestock, especially if you live in a close-knit apartment building. Even though bees and chickens are usually pretty low-key, it's always smart to give a heads up and reassure them that they won't be dealing with noisy roosters or a swarm of bees in their kitchen. Proper care and maintenance. Raising animals, even small ones, requires a commitment to their well-being. Make sure you have the time and resources to properly care for them, from feeding and cleaning to ensuring they have a safe, healthy environment. Properly maintained animals are happy, productive, and much less likely to cause trouble for you or your neighbors. 8.4 Building and maintaining a rooftop or balcony apiary. If you're lucky enough to have rooftop access, congratulations, you've just found the perfect spot for an urban apiary. Rooftop beekeeping is becoming more and more popular in cities, and for good reason. Bees don't need much space, and rooftops offer plenty of sunlight and fresh air for them to thrive. When setting up your rooftop apiary, keep a few key things in mind. Safety first. Make sure your beehive is securely placed and won't be easily knocked over by strong winds or curious pets. A sturdy base and some protection from the elements, like a simple fence or wall, can go a long way in keeping your hive safe. Access to water. Bees need a water source nearby to stay hydrated and keep the hive cool. You can set up a shallow dish with pebbles for them to perch on, or make sure there's a natural water source nearby. Hive inspections. Regular hive inspections are crucial for keeping your bees healthy. Every few weeks, check the hive to make sure everything is running smoothly, look for signs of disease, and ensure that the bees have enough space to continue building their honeycomb. If you're using a balcony instead of a rooftop, the same principles apply. Just make sure your hive isn't too close to doors or windows, yours or your neighbors, to avoid any uninvited guests. 8.5 The benefits of honey, eggs, and other urban homestead products. So, why go to the trouble of keeping bees or raising chickens in the city? Beyond the obvious answer, because it's awesome, the benefits of urban livestock are pretty significant. Fresh honey. There's nothing quite like honey fresh from your own hive. Not only is it delicious, but local honey is also known for its potential to help with allergies, thanks to the local pollen your bees collect. Plus, honey never spoils, so you can stockpile your harvest for months or even years. Eggs. Fresh, free-range eggs are one of the best perks of keeping chickens or quail. They're more nutritious, taste better, and you'll always have a supply on hand for breakfast, baking, or a quick protein-packed snack. In natural fertilizer. Whether you're raising chickens, rabbits, or bees, all of these animals produce some form of valuable waste, manure or compostable material, that can help enrich your soil and support your urban garden. It's a perfect cycle of sustainability. You take care of the animals and they help take care of your plants. Is sustainable food sources. By producing your own honey, eggs, or meat, you're reducing your reliance on store-bought products and contributing to a more self-sufficient lifestyle. It's not just about saving money, it's about knowing where your food comes from and reducing your environmental impact in the process. Closing thoughts on urban beekeeping and micro-livestock. Urban beekeeping and micro-livestock might sound ambitious, but with the right mindset and setup, they're totally achievable, even in the middle of a bustling city. Whether you're collecting fresh honey from your rooftop apiary or gathering eggs from your tiny backyard chicken coop, these activities are a natural extension of urban homesteading that connect you with your food, your environment, and your community. So go ahead, embrace the buzz, the clucks, and the quiet joy of raising animals in the city. You'll be amazed at how much life and sustainability they bring to your urban homestead. Chapter 9. Creating a healthy indoor environment. Living in a city often means being surrounded by concrete, traffic, and the general hustle and bustle that can make it difficult to feel connected to nature. But just because you're living in an urban apartment doesn't mean you have to settle for a stale, artificial environment. In fact, creating a healthy, vibrant indoor space is one of the most important aspects of urban homesteading. From improving air quality with houseplants to using sustainable materials and natural lighting, this chapter is all about transforming your apartment into a mini sanctuary where you can thrive. And the best part? You don't need a green thumb, a feng shui expert, or an interior design degree to pull it off. With a few simple changes, you can create a home that feels healthier, cozier, and even more productive. Ready to turn your apartment into an oasis? Let's dive in. 9.1 Improving indoor air quality with plants and ventilation. Let's start with something you can literally breathe easier about: air quality. Believe it or not, the air inside your apartment can be more polluted than the air outside, thanks to things like dust, chemicals from cleaning products, and even off-gassing from furniture. Yep, that new couch smell isn't as innocent as it seems. But fear not. Improving your indoor air quality is both simple and, dare I say, stylish. Enter the humble houseplant. Not only do plants add a fresh, natural aesthetic to your apartment, but many of them also act as natural air purifiers. They absorb pollutants and toxins, replacing them with clean, oxygenated air. Some superstar air purifying plants include a snake plant, also known as mother-in-law's tongue. This hardy plant is nearly impossible to kill. Trust me, even if you're a self-confessed plant murderer, this one will survive, and it's great at removing formaldehyde and other toxins from the air. A spider plant, another low-maintenance plant that's great at removing pollutants like carbon monoxide and formaldehyde. Plus, it grows little baby plants you can propagate and spread around your apartment. Peace lily. Not only does this plant help clean the air, but it also produces beautiful white flowers. However, it can be toxic to pets, so be cautious if you have furry friends around. In addition to houseplants, consider improving ventilation in your apartment. Open your windows whenever possible to let fresh air in and stale air out, and use fans to circulate the air in stuffy rooms. If you live in a particularly polluted area, consider investing in an air purifier to filter out allergens, dust, and other pollutants. Your lungs and your overall well-being will thank you. 9.2 Sustainable interior design. Choosing eco-friendly materials. Next up on the list of ways to make your apartment healthier is the space itself. While it might be tempting to splurge on the latest IKEA furniture set or add a few trendy decor pieces, it's important to think about the environmental impact of the materials you bring into your home. Sustainable interior design isn't just about aesthetics. It's about choosing eco-friendly, durable, and non-toxic materials that are better for you and the planet. Here are some tips for making your home both stylish and sustainable. Opt for natural materials. When choosing furniture or decor, look for items made from natural, renewable materials like wood, bamboo, cotton, and wool. These materials are often more durable and free from harmful chemicals. Avoid VOCs. Volatile organic compounds (VOCs) are chemicals found in many paints, finishes, and synthetic materials that can off-gas into the air and negatively impact your health. When buying furniture or repainting your apartment, look for products labeled as low VOC or VOC-free. Second-hand and upcycled furniture. Instead of buying new, consider upcycling or purchasing second-hand furniture. Not only does this reduce waste, but it also adds character and uniqueness to your space. That vintage dresser you picked up at a thrift store? Not only does it have a story, but it also didn't require any new materials or energy to produce. Eco-friendly textiles. When it comes to curtains, rugs, and bedding, opt for organic cotton, linen, or recycled fibers. These textiles are often produced with fewer pesticides and chemicals, making them better for both your health and the environment. By choosing sustainable, eco-friendly materials for your home, you'll create a space that feels good in every sense, physically, emotionally, and environmentally. 9.3 Natural lighting and its impact on well-being. Have you ever noticed how much better you feel after a few hours in natural sunlight? That's not just a coincidence, it's science. Natural light is essential for your mental and physical health, helping to regulate your sleep-wake cycle, improve mood, and even boost productivity. In a city apartment where windows might be small and buildings might block a lot of direct sunlight, it's important to maximize the natural light you do get. Here's how to let in as much light as possible. Keep windows clear. Don't block windows with heavy curtains or furniture. Instead, use sheer curtains that allow light to filter through, or position furniture in a way that maximizes sunlight exposure. Use mirrors strategically. Placing mirrors opposite windows can help reflect natural light and brighten up darker areas of your apartment. It's a simple hack that can make a small, dark space feel larger and more inviting. Choose light colors. Light-colored walls, ceilings, and furniture can help reflect sunlight around your apartment, making the space feel brighter and more open. If you can't repaint your walls, even adding a few light-colored decor items can make a difference. A supplement with full-spectrum lighting. If your apartment doesn't get much natural light, consider using full-spectrum light bulbs that mimic natural sunlight. These bulbs can help improve mood and energy levels, especially in the darker winter months. By embracing natural light, you'll not only improve the aesthetics of your apartment but also create a space that boosts your mood and overall well-being. It's amazing what a little sunshine, even indoors, can do. 9.4 DIY projects to reduce noise pollution in city apartments. Living in the city comes with a lot of perks, convenience, culture, and endless options for food delivery. But it also comes with one major downside: noise pollution. From traffic and construction to loud neighbors and late-night parties, city noise can be overwhelming, making it hard to relax or sleep. But fear not. With a few simple DIY projects, you can significantly reduce noise pollution in your apartment and create a more peaceful, serene environment. Here are a few noise-reducing hacks. Soundproof curtains. Thick, heavy curtains made from sound-absorbing materials can help block out external noise from the street or neighboring buildings. These curtains work especially well in bedrooms and living rooms where quiet is a priority. Rugs and carpets. Hard floors, like wood or tile, can amplify sound, making every step echo through your apartment. Adding rugs or carpets can help absorb sound and reduce noise from both inside and outside your home. Bonus, it'll also make your space feel cozier. DIY wall panels. Soundproof wall panels can be expensive, but you can make your own with some basic materials. Using corkboard, fabric, and foam, you can create decorative wall panels that absorb sound and reduce noise pollution. Place them on walls that face noisy neighbors or busy streets for maximum impact. Seal gaps and cracks. Noise can sneak in through the tiniest of gaps around windows and doors. Use weather stripping or sealant to close up any cracks, which will not only reduce noise but also help with insulation, keeping your apartment warmer in winter and cooler in summer. By taking a few steps to reduce noise pollution, you'll turn your apartment into a quiet sanctuary where you can unwind and escape the hustle and bustle of city life, even if the city is just outside your window. 9.5 The role of mental wellness in urban homesteading. We've talked a lot about physical health and sustainability, but let's not forget about one of the most important aspects of homesteading: mental wellness. Creating a healthy, balanced home isn't just about clean air and sustainable materials, it's also about nurturing your mind and spirit in the midst of city living. Urban life can be stressful, with constant noise, crowds, and fast-paced routines. Urban homesteading offers a way to slow down, reconnect with nature, and cultivate a sense of calm and purpose. Whether it's tending to your indoor garden, brewing a cup of tea with herbs you've grown yourself, or simply sitting by the window enjoying the sunlight, these small acts of care can have a big impact on your mental health. Here are a few tips for incorporating mental wellness into your urban homesteading routine. Create daily rituals. Incorporate small moments of mindfulness into your daily routine. Whether it's watering your plants, preparing a meal from scratch, or taking a few minutes to journal, these rituals can help you stay grounded and present. Connect with nature. Even if you don't have access to a backyard or rooftop garden, you can still bring nature into your home. Surround yourself with plants, open your windows to let in fresh air, and take time to notice the natural beauty around you, even in an urban setting. Set up a relaxation zone. Designate a quiet corner of your apartment as a relaxation zone, where you can read, meditate, or just unwind. Fill it with cozy blankets, soft lighting, and maybe even a few candles or essential oils to create a calming atmosphere. By creating a healthy, balanced indoor environment, you're not just building a sustainable home, you're building a sanctuary for your mind and spirit. Urban homesteading is about more than just growing your own food or reducing waste. It's about cultivating a lifestyle that nurtures your well-being both inside and out. Closing thoughts on creating a healthy indoor environment. Your apartment may be small, but it's your space to make healthy, sustainable, and welcoming. By focusing on air quality, eco-friendly materials, natural light, noise reduction, and mental wellness, you can create an indoor environment that supports both your physical and emotional health. Whether you're filling your home with houseplants, making your own soundproofing panels, or just enjoying a peaceful moment in your cozy corner, every small change brings you closer to the self-sufficient, balanced lifestyle you're striving for. So take a deep breath, enjoy the calm, and get ready to transform your apartment into a healthy, sustainable haven in the heart of the city. Chapter 10: Building a Self-Sufficient Community in the City. Urban homesteading isn't just about creating a sustainable lifestyle within the four walls of your apartment. It's also about connecting with others, sharing resources, and building a sense of community. In a world that often feels disconnected and fast-paced, the power of community cannot be overstated. Whether you're exchanging gardening tips with neighbors, sharing a meal made from locally grown produce, or participating in a community garden, urban homesteading provides the perfect opportunity to build a network of like-minded individuals who share your passion for sustainability. This final chapter is all about the we in self-sufficiency. Because let's face it, no matter how much we do on our own, life is richer and more fulfilling when we come together. And in a city setting where resources and space are often limited, community can be the key to making urban homesteading not just a solitary pursuit, but a collective effort. 10.1 Engaging with local urban homesteading communities. One of the best ways to kickstart your journey toward self-sufficiency is by tapping into your local urban homesteading community. The good news? You're probably not the only person in your neighborhood who's interested in growing their own food, raising chickens, or learning how to compost. In fact, cities around the world are seeing a surge in interest in urban sustainability, and chances are there's already a group of people in your area who share your interests. Here's how you can get involved. Join online forums and social media groups. Many cities have online communities dedicated to urban homesteading. These groups are full of people who are eager to share their knowledge, swap seeds, and give advice. Platforms like Facebook, Meetup, or even Reddit often have local groups where you can connect with others nearby. Attend local workshops or events. Many cities offer workshops or events on topics like gardening, composting, or beekeeping. These events are great for learning new skills and meeting people who are just as passionate about sustainability as you are. Volunteer at community gardens. Community gardens are not only a great way to grow your own food if you don't have space at home, but they're also a perfect place to meet fellow urban homesteaders. Volunteering at a community garden gives you hands-on experience while contributing to a shared resource for the neighborhood. By connecting with others who share your goals, you'll find support, inspiration, and, perhaps most importantly, a sense of belonging in your urban homesteading journey. 10.2 Hosting skill swapping and resource sharing events. Building a self-sufficient community isn't just about learning from others, it's also about sharing what you know. And one of the best ways to do that is by hosting skill swapping events. These gatherings bring people together to exchange knowledge, tips, and practical skills, creating a space where everyone can both teach and learn. Imagine a local event where someone teaches how to ferment vegetables, while another person demonstrates how to make homemade soap. Or maybe someone else shares their composting tricks while you offer tips on indoor gardening. Skill swapping events can be as formal or informal as you like, whether it's a scheduled workshop or a casual get-together over coffee where everyone brings something to share. Here are some ideas for skill swapping or resource sharing events. Seed swaps. If you've got more seeds than you know what to do with, or if you're looking to diversify your urban garden, a seed swap is a great way to share and collect new varieties. Gardening workshops. Get together with neighbors and hold workshops on container gardening, vertical gardening, or growing herbs in small spaces. Everyone can bring their favorite plants or tips to share. Food preservation parties. Gather a group to learn how to can, pickle, or dehydrate food. It's a fun, social way to stock your pantry while sharing tips and recipes. Composting collectives. If not everyone has space for composting, consider starting a neighborhood composting program. One person with the space can host the compost bin, while others contribute food scraps. By creating opportunities for skill sharing, you not only build a stronger community, but you also help spread sustainable practices throughout your neighborhood. And let's be honest, it's a lot more fun to learn new skills when you're doing it with others. 10.3 Partnering with local farmers markets and co-ops. Another great way to build connections within your community is by partnering with local farmers markets or food co-ops. These organizations are at the heart of the local food movement, and they often welcome contributions from small-scale urban homesteaders. Whether you have extra produce from your garden, honey from your rooftop beehive, or homemade preserves, farmers markets and co-ops offer a platform for sharing your bounty with others. Here's how to get involved. Sell or trade your products. Many farmers markets have spaces for small-scale growers or makers to sell or trade their goods. Even if you don't have enough produce to set up a full stand, you might be able to trade your homemade products with others, creating a mutual exchange of homegrown or handmade items. Support local producers. If selling isn't your thing, simply supporting your local farmers market or co-op is a powerful way to strengthen the local food system. By buying fresh, locally grown produce and other goods, you're keeping money in your community and reducing the environmental impact of food transportation. Collaborate with local vendors. Partnering with other vendors at the farmers market can lead to exciting collaborations. For example, you could team up with a local baker to use your homegrown herbs in their bread, or collaborate with a candle maker to incorporate your beeswax into their products. Farmers markets and co-ops are more than just places to buy food, they're hubs for building relationships and fostering a deeper connection to your local community. And as an urban homesteader, you have a unique opportunity to contribute to that network in meaningful ways. 10.4 Sharing resources, tools, seeds, and knowledge in the city. When space and resources are limited, as they often are in urban environments, sharing is key to making the most of what you have. Whether it's borrowing tools, exchanging seeds, or simply offering advice, sharing resources with your neighbors and community can help everyone thrive. Here are some practical ways to share resources. Tool libraries. If you don't have space to store large gardening tools or equipment, consider starting or joining a local tool library. These communal resources allow people to borrow tools like shovels, hoes, or even power tools when needed, without the need for each person to own their own set. Seed libraries. Many urban communities have seed libraries where you can borrow seeds, grow plants, and then return seeds from your harvest. This helps create a continuous cycle of sharing and growing, ensuring that everyone in the community has access to diverse plant varieties. A knowledge exchange. Sometimes the most valuable resource isn't physical, it's knowledge. Offering your expertise to others, whether it's through informal conversations, workshops, or online forums, helps build a stronger, more informed community. Don't underestimate the power of a simple tip or technique shared with a neighbor. It might just spark their own homesteading journey. Sharing resources not only reduces costs and waste, but it also strengthens the bonds between neighbors. When we share what we have, whether it's tools, seeds, or knowledge, we build a community that's more resilient, connected, and self-sufficient. 10.5 Building resilience through community-based sustainability efforts. At its core, urban homesteading is about resilience, learning how to provide for yourself and your community in a way that's sustainable and adaptable. And while individual actions are important, the real power of urban homesteading comes from the collective. By building strong, interconnected communities, we create systems of support that make everyone more resilient in the face of challenges. Community-based sustainability efforts go beyond individual gardens and compost bins. They can include neighborhood-wide sustainability initiatives. Start a community project that benefits everyone, like a neighborhood composting program, a shared rainwater collection system, or even a communal tool shed. Community gardens and green spaces. Collaborating to maintain shared green spaces is a great way to foster community involvement and ensure that everyone has access to fresh food and nature. Even small projects like planting a tree or starting a community herb garden can have a big impact. Educational outreach. Host workshops or educational events to teach others about urban homesteading, sustainability, and self-sufficiency. Whether it's composting, water conservation, or energy efficiency, sharing your knowledge helps spread sustainable practices throughout your community. By working together and pooling resources, urban homesteaders can create a community that's not only self-sufficient but also more resilient to external pressures. Whether it's economic instability, environmental challenges, or simply the fast pace of urban life. Closing thoughts on building a self-sufficient community. Urban homesteading may start with individual actions, but its true strength lies in community. By connecting with others, sharing resources, and working toward common goals, you're not just creating a more sustainable lifestyle for yourself, you're helping to build a stronger, more resilient city. Whether you're swapping seeds with a neighbor, attending a local farmer's market, or contributing to a community garden, every small act of collaboration brings us closer to a future where self-sufficiency is the norm, not the exception. So don't be afraid to reach out, share your knowledge, and build connections. Together, we can create a community that thrives on sustainability, creativity, and mutual support. Conclusion: reflecting on your journey towards self-sufficiency. Congratulations! You've made it to the end of this journey, one that started with the simple desire to live more sustainably in your urban apartment and grew into something much bigger. From growing your own food in small spaces to learning how to compost, conserve water, and even raise bees and micro-livestock, you've explored the many facets of urban homesteading. But here's the real secret: the journey towards self-sufficiency never really ends. It's a continual process of learning, adapting, and growing, both literally and figuratively. As you reflect on everything you've learned, remember that urban homesteading isn't about perfection. You don't need to have a rooftop farm, make your own soap, or raise chickens in order to be successful. It's about making thoughtful choices, using your resources wisely, and finding joy in the small victories, like harvesting your first tomatoes from a container garden or successfully fermenting a batch of sauerkraut. 11.1 Long-term sustainability goals for urban dwellers. Now that you've laid the foundation for a more sustainable lifestyle, it's time to think about the future. What are your long-term sustainability goals? Whether you dream of expanding your garden, reducing your waste even further, or becoming completely energy independent, it's important to set achievable goals that keep you motivated and moving forward. Here are a few ideas to consider as you plan your next steps. Continue expanding your skills. There's always more to learn in the world of urban homesteading. Maybe you want to dive deeper into herbal medicine, experiment with aquaponics, or try your hand at making your own clothing. Whatever it is, keep exploring new ways to live more sustainably. Go beyond your home. Now that you've made strides in your own apartment, think about how you can contribute to sustainability efforts in your community. Whether it's joining a local environmental group, volunteering at a community garden, or advocating for greener city policies, your efforts can have a ripple effect beyond your personal space. Aim for resilience. Sustainability isn't just about reducing your impact on the environment, it's also about being resilient in the face of challenges. Whether it's economic downturns, natural disasters, or changes in your personal life, having the skills and resources to take care of yourself and your home will always be valuable. By setting long-term goals, you'll not only continue to build on the progress you've made, but you'll also stay inspired and excited about the journey ahead. 11.2 Expanding your homesteading skills for future challenges. The world is constantly changing, and with it, the challenges we face as urban dwellers. Climate change, rising food costs, and economic instability are all real concerns. But urban homesteading provides a way to build resilience in the face of these uncertainties. By continually expanding your skills, you'll be better prepared to adapt to whatever the future holds. Here are a few skills that will serve you well in the long term. Food preservation. As food prices fluctuate and access to fresh produce becomes less predictable, knowing how to preserve your own food will be invaluable. Continue honing your skills in canning, fermenting, drying, and freezing so you can make the most of seasonal harvests. Energy efficiency. With energy costs rising, learning how to make your home more energy efficient, and possibly even energy independent, will be a huge asset. Keep experimenting with solar power, DIY insulation, and other energy-saving techniques. Water conservation. As water becomes an increasingly scarce resource, the ability to collect, store, and use water wisely will be crucial. Look for ways to expand your water conservation efforts, whether through rainwater harvesting, gray water systems, or simply using less. By continually growing your homesteading toolkit, you'll be ready to face future challenges head-on, whatever they may be. 11.3 Final thoughts. The future of sustainable urban living. As cities continue to grow and the world becomes more urbanized, the need for sustainable living practices will only increase. The good news? Urban homesteading is more than just a trend, it's a movement. And you're part of it. The work you've done to make your apartment more self-sufficient isn't just about reducing your personal footprint. It's about contributing to a broader shift toward sustainable urban living. Imagine a future where every city dweller grows some of their own food, collects rainwater, and reduces waste. Where community gardens, farmers markets, and rooftop apiaries are the norm, not the exception. It's a future that's not only possible but already starting to take shape, thanks to people like you who are leading the way. As you move forward, remember that even the smallest actions can have a big impact. Whether you're planting a single herb in your kitchen or organizing a neighborhood composting program, Every step you take toward sustainability brings us all closer to a healthier, more resilient future. 11.4 Final thoughts. The future of sustainable urban living. In many ways, urban homesteading is about reconnecting with the earth, with our food, and with each other. It's about rediscovering the satisfaction of growing your own food, creating your own products, and living more intentionally in a fast-paced, consumption-driven world. It's also about sharing that journey with others, building a sense of community, and working toward a collective goal of sustainability. So, as you close this book and continue your homesteading journey, remember to stay curious, stay creative, and stay connected. Whether you're experimenting with new gardening techniques, learning how to conserve more water, or teaching a friend how to make homemade cleaning products, every action you take brings us closer to a more sustainable, resilient future. And who knows? Maybe your small balcony garden will inspire your neighbors to start growing their own food, or your rooftop beehive will spark a conversation about urban agriculture. The possibilities are endless when we come together with the goal of living more sustainably in the cities we call home. Closing thoughts. Urban homesteading is more than just a hobby, it's a lifestyle. And you've taken the first steps toward creating a more self-sufficient, sustainable home in the heart of the city. But don't stop here. Keep experimenting, learning, and connecting with others. Together we can transform urban living one small change at a time. The future is bright and it's in your hands.